So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Won't look away. Storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control it. My bones, I'm coming for it, coming for it. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne. So you wanna be my enemy? You should've known I'd never kiss the rain. Ice runs in my veins, won't play it safe. I don't belong with your nobility. Who died and made you king of anything? You think that I'm insane? That's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it. I've come to take it. Kingdoms rise and fall. I've come to take it all. I'll take it all. Storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control it. My bones, I'm coming for it, coming for it. I'm coming for the throne. I'm coming for the throne.
Let's go. Yo, I'm like an addict, do I gotta have it. I ain't even playing, got a really bad habit. If it moves, gotta grab it, fuse like a magnet. Lose, won't have it till I'm doomed in a casket. I ain't playing, got a weird mind. If you work 8 hours, I'ma work 9. If the shit tastes sour, you should taste mine. I'ma stay in power for a long time. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same. Cause that's what it takes. I take shots to the top, I'll get it. I got one life, I'ma do all to win it. I do wanna look back, 'cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, 'cause that's what it takes.
All right, y'all. Happy Monday, March 16th. We're going to try and do this live as quick as we can tonight to go over today's filing because we have early access tickets to Project Hail Mary tonight. Looking forward to getting that behind us, although it's going to be a long night. It's like a 2.5-hour movie. And I'll hopefully have some thoughts to share with you guys on that tomorrow if you follow my movie reviews. AMC, before we get to AMC, let's talk about a couple of other news items here. The blue line, the thin blue line. Some of y'all were in my live stream last week where we talked about the thin blue line that I have been sharing in Discord. This is a bars pattern just for fun that I pulled from the ATM a year ago to see if this one tracked. And surprisingly, it's been tracking pretty well. It is showing, if I don't do bar pattern predictions, first of all, this is witchcraft. This is not something that I'm making trading decisions off of. Let's be clear on that. But it's fun to see. Will it track or won't it track? If it tracks, this is saying expect a dip after the market close on Wednesday. And then down to $1. I don't know. We'll see. We're at 106 right now. I do not own any AMC stock. I will share with you here shortly how much I spent at AMC theaters last year on A-list, concessions, extra movie tickets. I think you will be surprised. And, normally no point in me sharing this kind of info except for the dumbasses who keep on saying I don't support the company. Come on, the fuck out of here. Just because I don't buy the stock doesn't mean that I'm not supporting the company. I just choose to allocate some of my entertainment budget to movies and food. Got some pretty good food at the AMC dine-in theater here. And that's how I choose to support the company when my technical analysis, when my due diligence says if the price is headed down, I'm not going to buy stock and watch it melt. I'll put it somewhere else and have it work for me and grow. And then I will come into the stock when most of the risk has been taken out of the play. That's not advice for you. You guys do whatever you want. Most of you are anyways. But I don't judge how you spend your money. You shouldn't judge how I spend mine. GameStop announcing today their fourth quarter and fiscal year 2025 results will be on Tuesday, March 24th. About, 2 weeks from now? 1 week from now, 1 week, 8 days after the market closes. I don't know if I'll be live streaming that or not. I typically don't live stream GameStop earnings because there's no call. And it looks like we have no call again this year. It'll be exciting times to find out, did margins improve? How many stores closed? We're expecting globally around 500. And what did they do with the Bitcoin? Did they take a non-cash loss? Did they sell it? What did they do? Find out. I'm mostly interested in GameStop from the perspective of they got a boatload of cash, and I want to know at some point in the future, no rush from me. I have a beautiful low cost basis on both my shares and warrants of GameStop, and I have my position sized where it is stress-free for me. Ryan, take as long as you need. Find the right investment. Q1 box office, while we're waiting for people to get in, 1.375 billion. We got 2 weekends left. This will be a big weekend with Project Hail Mary. I'm expecting that movie, 3-day weekend, will be 65 to 85 million by itself. So I think it's reasonable that we expect this weekend will probably be what, $120 million weekend, and then we'll have a little bit less the final weekend. So I think that, if we look at 2 weeks, 2 weekends, pretty easy to guess that around 1.6 billion should be easily doable for Q1, and maybe somewhere between 1.6 and 1.7. I like to be able to move my estimate up like that. I was worried that we weren't going to get 1.6, but Project Hail Mary is looking to book a little bit better numbers than I was expecting. And some of these other movies did well too. Blue Line, box office. There will be a cash burn in Q1. We already know about that. That's why they're doing the equity offering. I said in the video description we'd talk about that equity offering and these filings today, this 424B7. Let's look at that, and then we'll look at the equity offering. Rolf says, if no call, then that means no path forward yet with M&A. Yeah, I agree, Rolf. I'm not expecting anything amazing news out of GameStop on the call, but if they have it, that's cool. And if they don't, doesn't matter to me. We're very chill on the GameStop investment, which is, they're just been trading sideways. There's not much to talk about. It's not in a buy zone for me. It's not in a sell zone. So waiting on news. Cheers. Prospectus. All right. Let's look at a couple of key items on here. What does this mean? We're not going to read through all 100 pages. Just going to point out a couple of key things in case you missed my tweet or you want to ask some questions. I have not read through this whole thing. I just did a speed read, enough to get a tweet out and talk about it in Discord. When the market closed, so this is a update to the existing prospectus. It's a prospectus supplement, letting investors know that AMC is filing for the resale of shares, 17.7 million of them, by the selling stockholders, which are defined in a table down below. And they say in here that the company will not, AMC will not receive any proceeds from the sale of this stock. Now, you might ask, all right, well, if that is the case, what is this about? Remember when we were talking about all the debt refinancing and the consent fees? AMC, the lenders say, yeah, we'll restructure your debt. We'll let you increase that equity offering, but you're going to pay some penalties and fees in the form of shares. This is the first batch of that. And you guys that follow me on Twitter, you've seen me reply to people when they ask, are you buying yet? And I say no, because the big boys are still moving the chess pieces around on the chessboard. And I don't want to be in front of them. I want to come in when I know they're done mucking around with selling shares and dropping the price. They're just, look, everybody here in this filing that we're going to look at in the table, they're trying to take care of their own profits. I don't want to get in their way. I want to come in when it makes sense for me. What is this offering? There's a good couple things you should look at in all of these type of filings. You should look at, you can see what I clicked on, the offering, description of capital stock, and selling stockholders. I'll go in and read the whole thing later. The supplement, there's 30 pages of the supplement, and then there's the original prospectus. But really what I want to know, the key things. I already know about the company. I already know about the risk factors. You should go read them if you haven't yet. What is the offering? Up to 17.7 million shares as payment of the 2029 notes consent fee. This is key information. That is why these shares were issued. They were issued subsequent to the last filing, which was the 10K on, what was it, February 23rd? So we have an increase in the share count. And how do we know what that was? We can go to, always in these filings, a lot of times companies don't throw it in your face. You have to know where to look. Description of capital stock is the section that you go to get that info. And they tell us that as of March 16th, there are now 557 million shares, 558 if we want to round up. If we go look at the 10K shares outstanding from February, they also tell us how many shares were outstanding. $529 as of February 18th. 529 million from the 10K, and now we're at 557 million. That is what? 557 minus 529, 28 million. And we knew what? That they issued 20 million. That's what they told us in the press release in February of the equity offering. They had issued 20 million. Now we're at 28 million. Minus, oh, sorry, that included, sorry. This 529 included the 20 million they had already issued, right? February 18th. So we're up. Where's my calculator? Yeah, we're up 28 million since the last update, and 17 million of those now are going to these selling stockholders. So basically 10 to 11 million more shares have been sold by the company since 3 weeks ago when they updated us. I had 20 million here. This is my just little for fun tracking, my little nerd stats, trying to see if I can guess when they're going to wrap it up. 20 million is what we knew about as of February 23rd. Now we find out there's 27, 28 million more shares 17 going to selling shareholders. That means AMC itself has sold roughly 10 million shares. That's 30.7 million shares. And by my rough guess, looking at the price by week, around $38 million. What does that mean? Why is the price getting smacked? Because this is my best guess. Price is getting smacked because AMC is probably leaning on a forward agreement with Goldman Sachs for the bulk of this equity raise. Now, that is just my guess, so we're clear. And we won't know until they issue a filing that tells us more information, i.e., a filing that says the offering is done. The way that the forward in general works, AMC will sell some shares at the market. I'm guessing it's around 30 million. The remainder of the money from the $150 million equity raise, they will get directly from Goldman Sachs in advance. Goldman Sachs will, during this initial hedging period, which is not defined the length of, they will short the stock to establish their initial hedge. That alone could be driving the price down. And then you pile on any nefarious shorts on top of it. You got AMC selling shares, you got Goldman selling shares, you got the nefarious shorts shorting the stock. All of that is just going to push the price down. We can't outbuy all of this activity. What AMC told us, if I recall correctly, you guys can go fact check me this on this, in the equity offering, is that if they initiate a forward collar with Goldman, that the initial hedging period would end in the same quarter it was started. That's about the most detail I can give you about when are these dumb fucks going to stop shorting the stock. If they initiated a forward collar in Q1, I would expect the initial hedging period, the selling pressure to be over by the end of Q1. Just a guess. What happens after that? Let's say the forward contract is for 6 months. Now, I'm not, unfortunately, an expert enough to tell you exactly what happens every month in the 6 months that this contract exists, other than I know AMC gets cash up front. I know Goldman will short to establish the initial hedge. I know that during the ensuing months, they might buy or they might sell just enough to maintain their hedge. And at the end of the contract, AMC issues shares to Goldman, probably in 6 months. That is roughly what I expect to happen. I want to get through this damn initial hedging period. And by my best educated guess, I'm pretty dumb, but by my best educated guess, that initial hedging period should be up by the end of Q1. Someone said in the comments, am I expecting it to go below $1? I don't know. I don't have any lower price target. My DD had said it could go down to $1.20 and we're at $1.06. So I stopped guessing at $1.20. All right. So we're clear on why do I think that they've only raised $38 million? Because they told us in the press release on February 23rd that they had issued 20 million shares, $26 million as of February 23rd. Today, we got an update on the share count. 28 million more issued, including 17 to the selling shareholders. That means to me, anyways, you guys can Let me know in the comments now or later if you're watching on replay if you agree or disagree. But that tells me they've only sold AMC 10 million at the market in the last 3 weeks, and you're asking yourself then, why is the price going down? Tony, you're telling us it's not the shorts. It probably, look, there's some shorts. I saw John Himpton picking the wings off of the insects like he likes to troll, motherfucker. There are some shorts, but I think the bulk of it is probably Goldman. They got 150 million shares they need to burn through to get this equity offering done. Something, in that range. We'll find out. These are just my best guesses. We'll find out when we get some updated filings from AMC. So this is our new shares outstanding, 558 million. And the other section that we want to talk about today before I get to your questions is, who are these selling stockholders? They are lenders who agreed with AMC to do something with the 2029 notes. Some of these filings that we've been covering since July through now. And all of these filings and restructurings have consent fees, mostly paid in shares. This is your first wave. A lot of chess pieces still to hit the table. Telling you now, not to scare you, just so you will be aware, not surprised, not angry, not have your feelings hurt. These are the selling shareholders. There's no Mudrick, there's no Antara. It's just a bunch of small lenders. That's what I got. I said someone was complaining, as they always do. The really people that get mad that I cover the financials, people that get mad that I forecast cash burn or cash flow, people that get mad that I forecast equity offerings, people that get mad that I use all of my research, my time, my due diligence to not trade the stock because my DD says it's going down. People get mad and they say, Tony, you just have an A-list membership, so you can say you support the stock. Wrong. I like movies. Yes, I thought AMC was going down, so I moved my money out back in 2024. It's been a long time that I have not owned the stock. I moved it into other profitable companies. I doubled my money on Marcus Corp, another theater company. I made 65% gains on IMAX. I reinvested recently back into Marcus Corp, and I finally bought some Cinemark a couple months ago. I'm up 22% on that. Is that because I hate AMC? No, AMC is the only theater that we go to for our entertainment. I just don't like to, if I'm going to invest money, I want it to grow. I want it to be ready at the moment I decide to buy AMC when the risk is out of the play. That's just me. But we still have a life out in the real world. We still go to movies. How much did we spend last year at AMC? I did a download from my bank statement by January 1st to December 31st last year. You can see the dates and the amounts, and I just added these columns to total up the monthly amount. And it totals to what? What do you think? What do you guys think the total is? How much did Tony and Scarlett spend in 2025 on A-list, concessions, and extra tickets for friends and family in 2025? I'll give you guys a second to guess. C. Bertman says $13.50. We saw about 90 movies last year at AMC. 2245, Rolf says. And I don't put this up here to brag. I get really tired of the people saying that I don't support the company. I guarantee you some of these fakes and frauds on social media that are pumping the stock, I bet you I spend more on food and concessions than they do on stock last year. I could have spent it on stock, but I would have had 50, 60% less. I spend it on entertainment. I invest my money somewhere where it's going to grow if it's money I'm allocating to the stock market. 239 Bean said 2,800. He's getting close. Still not enough. Dink says 4,500. Anya 3,672. Let's end the suspense here. You can see January, February, March, April, May, a lot in June. Q2, a lot of good movies. A lot in Q4. Grand total, $2,990. I don't want to hear anybody saying jack shit that I don't support the company. I don't want to hear it. Most of y'all that are saying that are fakes and frauds, and you don't want people to learn how to analyze a stock. Just be honest. You can't stand that I support AMC, but I'm not buying the stock. Be honest with me. Be honest with yourselves. Be honest with people on social media. Your frauds, your fakes, your pumpers, your liars. I have receipts. And everybody knows that I was long plenty of times on AMC. Yes, I haven't been since 2024. I will be again when all of this mess that we're in right now is over. I likely will be again. In the meantime, I spend my money the way that I want, and none of your belly aching, crying, whining, bitching, moaning, gatekeeping nonsense is going to stop me from trying to help explain filings and financial statements to people, because people deserve an unbiased and unemotional person to walk them through things. You want someone like me that is willing to go spend $3,000 on movies when they don't even own the stock to explain these filings to you. I could go to any I got to listen to my wife. Why can't we go to Alamo? Blah, blah, blah. I like their popcorn with truffle sauce, whatever. No. 5 years now we've been going only to AMC. I don't want to hear any of this bullshit. That was 1 year of movie going for us. Now multiply that times 5 years. I don't want to hear none of the bullshit. K Ladled says, how far in the red are you on this? I don't own the stock, so I'm not in the red. Like I said, I took my money out of AMC in 2024, moved it into IMAX and Marcus Corp, doubled my money there, let it sit out most of 2025, and recently reinvested in Marcus and Cinemark, and I'm up on both of those. I follow the movie industry. I follow movies. I have a good feel for the box office. I analyze the financials of all of these companies. I'm going to put my money where it is best suited for me to grow. And that just has not been AMC since the end of 2024. But when I think that the risk is out of the play, then I'm okay with coming back in. I don't hate the company. I think management's doing the best they can in a shitty situation with box office. But I also am unemotional enough to read the financial statements and be able to see what is the most likely outcome here. The company was running out of shares and cash last year. Q1 was going to be a cash burn. These are all things I talked with you guys about for the last 16 months. Nothing that's happening right now should be a surprise, unless you're listening to the wrong people. And many of you are. You can't give it up. Or they tell you block Tony because he's negative. I'm not negative. I'm just unemotional. I don't have a pitch to sell you other than here's the filing, here's the analysis, here's why I'm not in the trade. And when that changes, I will let you know. Manny says, all I can say is buy shares before Super Mario Bros. April 1st. Look, I think that, Manny, a lot of things are going to change for the industry and hopefully for AMC beginning Q2, beginning April 1st. Starting with Super Mario. We have, in general, a very favorable outlook on Q2 through Q4 for this year. If it's going to be a $9.5 to $10.4 billion year and Q1 is only 1.6, 1.7, what does that tell you about the rest of the next 3 quarters? They're going to be pretty damn good, as long as there's no actor-writer strike forcing studios to push movies from 2026 into 2027. But I'm not worried about that right now. I trust that they will, not be dumb and actually come up with an agreement. SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild and the studios and the streaming companies. Please, God, let everybody work something out. We don't need another bogey dropped on us. If that all goes well, Q2 through Q4 are going to be great. If you're in my Discord, you already know this. I don't talk about it much on social media because knowing what we knew about the Q1 cash burn and the equity raise, it was not the time for me to be cheerleading AMC because we knew the price was going to get decimated. But in the Discord, any of you that talk to me offline, you send me a DM. We are very positive about Q2 through Q4 for box office and for AMC cash flow. We just got to suffer through this pain of Q1. Dink says, thank you for wearing out the seats. We do our best, Dink. And we will be wearing out some luxury seats for Project Hail Mary tonight. Anya says, Tony hasn't revealed the total yet. What total are we talking about, Anya? My spending? I did reveal it, unless your comment is old there. Yeah, $29.90 was what we spent. For 2 people, mind you. Thank goodness, for A-list, that's only, like $29 a month, something like that. Lets me see up to 4 movies free per week. And we can spend a lot of our discretionary money on pizza, hamburgers, things we like there. Popcorn occasionally, and drinks, although drinks have been off the menu since the wife is pregnant. Strider says my cost average on AMC is 445. Should I be worried? I don't know. It depends on box office for the rest of this year and the actors and writers strike and what management decides to do, my friend. We have run some price target estimates. I'm not going to talk about them on YouTube because what's the point, really? I mean, as soon as I put out let's put it this way, price, no, just no. Nobody wants to hear common sense. Tony, tell us about that price to sales ratio. Bless their hearts. Price to sales ratio. These people will bend over backwards to analyze a price target in any way except a common sense way. Price is going to be derived from either discounted cash flow, which we can't do easily because AMC has negative earnings, or we could estimate some earnings and take a PE ratio that's normal for the sector, let's say 20 or 25, and multiply that times what you think the annual earnings for AMC is going to be. But the problem is, even if they get positive earnings, that they keep on issuing shares, it keeps watering down the annual earnings per share. So first we got to get over the hurdle of 10.4 billion in box office domestic to get positive. And then once we're positive, what? 10 cents, 50 cents? Multiply that times 20. 10 cents times 20 is $2. 50 cents times 20 is $10. How much box office is required to get 50 cents in annual earnings? These are things we'll talk about when the time is right. But if someone is not walking you through those and they're telling you this is going to be a $10, $20, $40 stock based on earnings, they don't know how to do math. And they are not properly accounting for the fact that the company is going to continue to issue shares, which will decrease the earnings per share once it's positive. These things matter. So because of all that, I'm not saying that to be negative. Because of all that, I want to come in after the damn dilution. I want to come in after price has been decimated. I want to come in when I think they're reasonably done for a while issuing shares. Because all of that minimizes my risk in a very speculative trade. Even when I decide to go long, I still could get wrecked by some unknown that I can't predict. I do my best to predict things that I know about, but company could issue some pronouncement that I didn't foresee. Paul says, what about the Hycroft holdings? Why did they sell them early? I'm going to give you, look, there's a couple of answers, right? The bears will tell you Adam Aaron's a crook. The pumpers will tell you he had to sell Hycroft so Hycroft would be allowed to run. They weren't going to let it run when AMC owned it. Interesting theory, but they still have 50% of their position if you count the warrants. So I would not say that that is correct. If I search for a logical and plausible reason why did AMC sell Hycroft in Q4, my best guess, just being the one guy that's looking for, is there any logical reason? My best guess is the lenders forced them to sell it to boost Q4 liquidity ahead of AMC needing to raise cash in Q1. That's my best guess. And you can go talk to some bond guys, and they would tell you that is not an unreasonable explanation. If lenders are going to agree to refinance, restructure, allow the company to increase the ATM, how do they de-risk their decision? Well, AMC, you need more liquidity on the balance sheet. That is a de-risking for the bondholders. Now, I know this, for some of you, is going to sound very surprising to hear. I want you to just think about it. Go talk to some bond traders, and I don't mean someone who says they're an AMC investor and they had previous experience working with bonds. That is not a unbiased viewpoint. Go find some real bond traders. Talk to them. People actively employed with a career in bond trading. Ask them, is it normal that a lender might ask a company to boost liquidity prior to a debt restructuring or an agreement to increase an equity offering amount? Yeah, it is possible. In AMC, to their credit, they still have all those warrants. What's Hycroft at today? 39, so that's $29 million at least that they're up. They invested what, 26 million? They've doubled their money. By any judgment of their investment, they've done fine. Doubling your money in 3-4 years for a corporation, that's pretty decent. For something that everyone was saying would fail, I told all of you bears, be patient, let the timeline play out. Yes, it's speculative, but you don't know what's going to happen with metals prices. We got a real Hail Mary here in the last 6 months with metals prices. Saved AMC's bacon, put them up considerably. They got all their money out. Now they're just riding on the market's money. Beautiful. I think those warrants expire, in March of 2026 or March of 2027? March 15th, 2027. They got a year to wait and see what happens with metals and any future announcements from Hycroft. Strider says, did you sell on the 2024 run-ups in AMC? I sold in November, my friend. Right here. I wish I would have sold on the run-up to 556. I sold at 434. And you can see my purchases, here earlier in the year were all right around $4, 420, 460, 420, 430, 419. I basically got out break even here. It didn't matter to me. I had been building a position for months, hoping that we'd get a Q4 spike. But around the beginning of November, I told the Discord, and then I told you guys that my cash flow forecast for Q1 was going to be so bad in 2025 that they were going to need to do a share offering. I told you guys that in early November 2024, and I exited, and I didn't care that I got out at break even. I had already made 1,000% on this run up between shares and call options that I bought when Roaring Kitty came back. I did fine on AMC in 2024. I just sat out 2025. And yeah, the videos are still up. The tweets are still up when I exited. And the price fell from 556 to 245. There would have been I wouldn't have minded this trade from 245 to $4. That would have been a fine trade for me. But I didn't have the confidence in 2025 because we knew they were out of shares and running out of cash. And I was expecting a shareholder vote in June or July. Every month that went by, they just didn't announce it until finally we find out it was in December. That is honestly what kept me out of the trade. Like, I wanted to know what were they going to announce? How many shares were they going to ask for? We finally got the answer. But not till a vote till December. And then already by December, we're back in Q1 cash burn land. And I told you guys that was coming. And we looked at all the filings and the prices that the AMC agreed to with the lenders on the bottom end of the VWAP measurement period, the collar. To me, everything that's happened for the past 16 months has been perfectly predictable. All you got to do is read. You don't even need to be particularly intelligent at doing analysis. Just read. Rolf says if you have funds, you can hedge your position to an appropriate level with puts. You could do that. Absolutely, Rolf. Rolf and I and another gentleman are going to be putting together, hopefully this week for you guys, a live discussion, training, education, and Q&A on how to run half the wheel, which mostly because we get a lot of questions in the Discord. How do you select when we're big believers in selling covered calls and selling cash secured puts. And selling cash secured puts gets really confusing for people. So in this training, we're going to talk about selling covered calls, and we're going to use GameStop because it's trading nice and flat. It's a beautiful vehicle for making money selling covered calls. But the most common question is, how do you pick your strike price? How do you manage risk if it runs up? That's what we're going to touch on later this week. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a voice training in the Discord, and then, maybe we'll put it on YouTube too. Let's see if I can make this bigger where I can see it. Strider says, what helped you make the decision to sell during the early 2024 run-up when Roaring Kitty came back? Talking with my fellow traders in the Discord, looking at the chart, making some predictions about where things would top out, looking at volume, and not listening to social media. I bought long calls. Look at this. I bought the calls on May 13th. I sold them the next day for 1,000% gain. May 14th. Why did I buy the long calls? Because I had been buying shares, selling, buying the dips, selling covered calls, running the wheel, making good money for months, selling covered calls. But when Roaring Kitty came back, I had a decision to make. What if the price spiked? My shares are going to be, if I'm selling covered calls at $3.50 or $4 and it runs to 10 or 11, I'm going to lose my shares. I'm going to miss out on that entire run up. So what do? You could roll the date of your call, or you could just go buy some long calls, which is what I opted to do. So yeah, I did lose my shares at a profit and kept the call premium, but I had calls that I went in the market and bought that ran up 1,000% in one day. So I made money on the stock, I made money on call premium, and I made money buying and selling calls on it. Just a speculative bet that Roaring Kitty excitement would do something. I am not a regular call buyer. That's just throwing money into a burning fire pit. But when the moment is right, when the sentiment and the volatility are spiking, you better act fast. Don't burn your money every week buying calls expiring. Sell the calls. Have a management plan. If Roaring Kitty comes back, you better know what to do. Here's one example. Buy calls, but just sell them. Sell every week. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Don't do that if you don't understand options and you don't know how to not miss out on a spike. I don't want you to lose your shares, with a $2 strike. If you're selling covered calls and it runs to 10 next week, I don't want you to lose your shares at $2. You better have a fucking plan. You better know what you're doing. Don't mess around with options if you don't know what you're doing. Anya says, is the AMC chat room still free for all members in the Discord? As far as I know, Anya, yeah. As far as I know. Oh. Rolf says he sold around $8 that during the 2024 run up. Rolf, very nice. Tech We Love, what's up? He says, I don't see AMC asking for a reverse split if they can help it. It only allows room for more shorts. Yeah. I don't have any opinion on a reverse split. Probability wise, I don't even have a guess. Is it possible? Yeah, I can't say it's impossible. What is the probability? I don't know. That is a management discretion item, and they are looking at far more complex things than I could analyze in that decision. I would not say it's impossible, but I would not say it is a certainty either. It's just a risk to be aware of if you're long. Why is it a risk? Because in my opinion, if they were to do it, it's because they need some ceiling to sell more shares. If they ask for a reverse split, it's going to be just like before, and they need to sell more shares. They need to have the room to sell more shares. So, Dink says the harder problem is running the wheel on a stock that drops and you can't sell options above the cost basis. Stock that drops. Well, you're saying what? If you're selling cash secured puts, or if you already bought the stock and you're trying to sell covered calls. Yeah. Don't run the wheel on a stock you're not willing to own, first of all. But we'll get more into that in the training session. And it's not going to be focused on AMC. We're going to use GameStop as the example, because it's really a good, it's good to have a stock with some volatility that is trading flat or within a range that you can reasonably predict. Rolf says call buying is usually only for people who hate money. Yep. I saw some more of those Hycroft guys this weekend saying, guys, you need to buy calls. The only way to stop these market makers from shorting the stock is to buy calls. Or you could just throw your money in the fireplace. Could just throw your money in the fireplace. I don't want to be... I mean, what is your edge trying to buy calls while a corporate action like this is going on? What do you know that AMC and Goldman Sachs don't? Do you know the date that it's over? I don't. I don't know when it's over. So then what? I don't know how low the price is going to go. How do I pick my strike if I'm trying to buy a call right now? I don't have perfect information. I would just be gambling. And I'm not going to do that. I'll buy call options if I'm reasonably certain on an outcome. Right now, we are missing way too much info. But someone's going to come in at the perfect moment on a gamble and make a lot of money, and I will applaud them. That's just not how I roll. Uh, 107 trading after hours, 17 million shares, wrapping up today's live stream, 17 million shares on this Prospectus. It's not that much. We knew it was coming. The market knew it was coming. There's going to be more, guys. Just if you're just tuning in, this is not the first, and it won't be the last. Well, it is the first, but it won't be the last offering for consent fees. I can think of at least 3 filings where AMC agreed to pay consent fees in shares, and we've talked about it. So nobody should be surprised. Maybe, starts to sink in. Why does Tony tell us about this stuff months in advance? Is he trying to scare us out of the play? Is he trying to be bearish? Does he work for the shorts? Or do I just want you to have information before you need it? Because the price is going to be run down. That's up for you to decide. I'm going to go check on the wife. We're having a baby in 11 days, but she's still down for going to a 2.5-hour movie tonight. We're going to go see Project Hail Mary. Let's go out with a little up and to the right. And if you have any questions that I missed, ask them in the Discord. The Discord is free, including the AMC chat room. There are paid options available if you just want to support someone who's trying to give people reasonable, non-biased, non-emotional info. It's not required. The Discord is free. The AMC room is free. Everything that we talk about here is the same stuff we talk about every day in the Discord, except you don't have to wait a week to get the info. Up and to the right.
Up and to the right. Up and to the right. Up and to the right.
Hello, millionaires. Short squeeze plays where fortunes flip. GameStop's journey, an epic trip. From humble roots to the moon we fly. A company's dream will amplify. Ready warriors, keyboards in hand. With their eyes on the prize, they took a stand. No one's selling, we're here to fight. How does it go? Up and to the right. Up and to the right. We're in for the ride. GameStop's on the rise. It can't be denied. Up and to the right. Through the day and night. Together we'll soar. Ass is in sight.
Surprise!
We're gonna win.